Hello, and welcome back. For those of you that are returning, for those of you that are new, my name is Mike Maspero. I am a 44-year-old man living in San Antonio, Texas, that is using this vlog for just a visual representation of my journey to personal growth. This is the 16th vlog that I've put up here, and I've done a lot of reflecting, a lot of thinking. For those of you that are returning, I do apologize for um, not having a video last week. I know I try to do these very regularly and try and get these up. Last week time just kind of got away from me, so I apologize for not having it last week. But obviously, lots of reflection, lots of thinking over the last couple of weeks. Lots of different things that have been going on. Lots of different thoughts, obviously, that have been there. Life is good. Life is really, really good. And the reflection that I've kind of been doing in thinking about change, obviously, this is a big theme on my channel is the idea of change and going through change and seeing the change that I've been through. But for me, one of the things that I'm kind of starting to have a little bit better understanding of, starting to have a little bit better view of as far as when it comes to myself is the idea of our narrative and how that narrative kind of reflects on where you're at with your own spirituality, with your own growth, and really just kind of leading you in the direction that you want to go. For a lot of us, this narrative is it's very black and white, right? Something happens to us and it's either because we're not good enough or because the person did something to hurt us, or we're deserving of that hurt. And once we start to get into that flow and that part of our narrative starts to really come forward and be a part of who we are in our everyday life, then it's hard for us to get out of that cycle, right? Then things start to happen for certain reasons because we're not good enough. That negative self-talk starts to really pile on, and the next thing you know, everything happens is happening because you're just not good enough. I can honestly say that for a lot of my life, that's kind of where I've been. That I didn't feel that I was good enough to be in positions that I was in, to be in relationships that I was in, to be around the people that I was around. I always felt that I was never good enough to be there. And a lot of this is because of my own self-image of myself, the way that I viewed myself. The negative self-talk comes from those places, and the next thing you know, you're on this downward spiral, just spiraling down into self-pity and self-loathing, and it's not a good place to be. But one of the things that I'm starting to realize is that a lot of this comes from the narrative that we give to ourselves, the way in which we see the world. And it's hard to change that. I was listening to Andrew Huberman not too long ago, and he had David Goggins on there, and David Goggins was talking about friction and how friction, in our lives is something that for a lot of people, not that they can't handle it, but that friction gives them the opportunity to create that narrative where they're not good enough. And if you want to elicit change in your life, then you use that friction to elicit that change. That change is going to be uncomfortable, but once you do start to elicit the changes that you're needing and wanting to make in your life, then being uncomfortable is just part of life, and it's part of being there, and it ends up not being as bad as you thought it would be. And it's taken me a long time to realize that, and to realize that not only is change uncomfortable, but changing the narrative in which we see not only ourselves but the world around us is uncomfortable as well, because we get so comfortable with the way that we see the world and the way that we ultimately view ourselves that it makes it hard to make those changes. And um, one of the things that I have tried to do a better job of with myself is just that, is to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, with getting comfortable changing that narrative, right? To understanding that not everything happens because you're not good enough. And in doing so, I've noticed in myself that I see myself in a different light, that I see myself in a much better light, that I'm more positive about the things that happen around me, that um, instead of the self-loathing and self-pity, it's more about finding solutions and asking for help. Those two things in itself are two things that, as somebody who's dealt with imposter syndrome, somebody who's dealt with the negative self-talk, that has been something that I've turned to, and been something that has really helped me to kind of change that narrative, see things in a different light, see the world in a different light. Positivity is another thing that I've noticed, that in adding positivity to my life and trying to manifest a more positive lifestyle, and seeing the brighter side of things instead of the bad, it's really helped me to forge a new narrative, forge a new narrative about life, and not just about the present, but the possibilities that are there within the future. It's enlightening, to say the least. It's not easy all the time. There are times where I do stumble and I do fall, and during those times, one of the things that has been helpful for me is just having more of an awareness. Um, Being more aware of my reactions, being more aware of the way that I tend to react to situations, and when I find myself in a place where I am falling back into old habits and starting to react in certain ways, stopping, taking a step back, taking a breath, and, like I said, trying to find a solution, trying to find the help that I need, so that way I can continue forward and continue to press on, has been an extremely enlightening thing for me, to say the least. Um, so yeah, I'm starting to see that it's all about that narrative, and that our value of self is kind of entangled within the narrative in which we have for ourselves, and we are the ones that can change that narrative, and we can change the viewpoints, and through the changing of the narrative is where we kind of see the change within ourselves. So that's what I've been thinking about. That's been the last couple weeks, is just trying to get a better understanding of the narrative, getting a better understanding of the things that I can change within the narrative, and not to make the main focus about myself, but make the main focus about the present, and make the main focus about the now, and the things that I can do within the now, without focusing on all the bad stuff that's happened in the past, or the things that I can't necessarily handle or do right now because they haven't happened yet, but really focusing the narrative on the right now, focusing the narrative on what's happening in this present moment, to make each day the best day that I possibly can, has really, it's really changed the way that I view not only the world around me, but how I view myself. And in doing so, I can actually feel the changes that are being made. I can see the changes that are being made within my life, within the relationships that I have, and it feels pretty damn good. It feels pretty damn good. So one thing I will say is that if if you're out there and you're struggling, you don't know kind of which direction to turn or how to go, don't give up. Please don't give up. Um, I know that's not something that's necessarily easy to do all the time, but it's something that you are going to if you're going to make it out and you're going to come out on the other end, and even when you feel that things aren't good, one thing my grandmother used to always say, when you feel like you're at rock bottom, there's only one way to go, and that is up. So don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. If you need to, I'm always here for you. You can drop a comment, leave a message for me. I'd be more than happy to get with you, to talk to you, whatever it may be. But please, whatever you do, just don't give up, because I want you here. With that said, I was looking the other day. We are up to 38. I can look at it in real time right now. We are up to 38 subscribers. And to the 38 people that have subscribed to my channel, I am humbled. I am extremely grateful for each and every one of you. And I hope that you get something out of these short messages that I put out every week. And I thank you. I thank you for being here. I thank you for watching, because without you guys, I don't kind of just thank you. And for anybody who watches, I greatly appreciate you watching, and I hope that you get something out of this. And like I say every day, continue to shine your light, spread your love, and manifest positivity on this world, because the world needs it, and I definitely need it as well. So thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's all I got for this week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week.